Oh, here we are. Okay. I thought I'd give you a bit of a lead in. And obviously, if you're watching the replay on this, you can just fast forward that rubbish at the beginning. There was a countdown clock at about 30 seconds, and then it stalled, and then I couldn't switch it back into the program to get to me. But I'm here now, so we can get on with the tracker. There's a bit of an ongoing debate on that. We used to have a 1.5 minute lead in standard video clip and countdown clock. This is on the first GGR. And the idea was to allow people, when they knew it was coming, they'd see it, and it gives them 1.5 minutes to get on, because some people like watching the live rather than the replay. But then all the people watching the replay got a bit miffed because they had to sit there through 1.5 minutes. But when you get that, you just fast forward it to where the guts of it is, and we start talking. So anyway, here we are, and it's 8 o'clock in France now. We rolled over to daylight saving on Sunday night, which I didn't realise. I thought it was a bit strange in the morning. I didn't realise until the afternoon that it had all changed. Anyway, and I am here to give one. I didn't know whether I would, because I had a few things on the go today, which I'll talk about later, because it's all got to do with skin cancers, which everyone is susceptible to, and particularly me. And there's some really interesting tactical stuff going on at the moment. And last night, unbeknown to you, I didn't talk about some critical aspects of what's going on with the planning, because I know the entrants are actually watching, right? Not all of them, but some of them are watching to get my opinion, and then they'll possibly, I don't know whether they do, but they'll possibly alter their tactics based on what I'm actually saying and what we're talking about. So I didn't show you one of the critical issues, which is currents. I didn't explain what some of the ramifications there were, and they were really quite potentially dramatic. And I found it hard to believe that Renaud wouldn't know about that anyway. But surprise, surprise, today when I get on the track, and I didn't get on this morning, but I just got on 15 minutes ago to have a look, so I know what I'm talking about. The current streams are actually moving quite substantially. In other words, often when you're along the coast, when they're coming out of Panama, and whichever way you go, there's a regular sort of river, and you'll see a lot about this when the boats are going down towards Cape Town. That leg going from Port Louis in Mauritius across to South Africa, and then trying to get around the tip of South Africa, is fraught with challenges because of the Agulhas current. And I might even go over and show you a bit of that tonight, seeing we're talking currents. And it's really demanding, seriously demanding. It's the biggest challenge of the entire Mini Globe race, to get safely around South Africa and get into Cape Town. Once you're leaving Cape Town, it's not so bad, but getting there is the single biggest challenge of the whole race. Anyway, but these current streams now, because I haven't watched them regularly in the past, you don't usually do that unless you've got a reason. Now we've got a reason to be there. They're actually moving quite substantially, and that may work in the favour of some entrants and not so much for other entrants. I think I just missed a skip on the comments there. There was a header came up. So I'm going to have to keep bobbing the bloody questions out now, but I won't see them come up. That's a problem. Anyway, so we'll carry on. So I'll go straight to the tracker, and if we lose a bit of the screen, I'll try and block it out. Okay, so let's get into it and see what's happening. Popeye and, the two boys in Panama are still sitting there. So they're obviously having a good time. They haven't left yet. Okay, so I put you on the tracker. Here we go. Yep, you're on the tracker, and now I'll get on the tracker. Okay, so here we are. And these positions are 1600 UTC. We're actually 2 hours behind that now, so we're 6 o'clock. Is that right? 6 o'clock UTC. So we're a couple of hours old. These positions are a couple of hours old, but that's fine. And everyone's having a pretty good time. I got a message from Gary even today on my phone, and it was quite funny. He said, "Hey, Don, where are you getting my speeds from? Who said I'm doing 1.5? I've had the fastest day in the fleet yesterday, the longest day run yesterday," and he was sort of having a fun complaint about my expose of him in the tracker session. And I just went back to him and said, "Hey, I'm only reporting what I'm reading out of the data box when I get on your loop." But it was very funny. So Gary's watching. I know Ayrton's watching, and I know the others also get on if they catch it, and they'll watch it and see what goes on. So anyway, all is kind of cool. Here's the fleet, and as Gary was saying, Gary's flying at the moment. He's doing 5.1 knots. He's done 86 nautical miles in a day. So go, Gary. Whoom. Is he catching ground, though? He left about 12 hours late. Let's just pin him to another entrant, just so we know and we can see what's happening. Christian's in the lead, but we'll pick it. Oh, okay, why not? I'll go for Christian. And we'll go bow to bow with Christian. He's actually 137 miles behind. So remember that. That's about the average day run across the transatlantic. So about 137. But anyway, he's having a good time and enjoying sail and all the rest of it. So that's good. Yep, that's cool. And there's a little bit of current there, but I'll show you that when we get into the currents on what's happening. So Josh is still trailing Jasmine, which is interesting. Josh is doing 2.9 knots and only 26-mile day. There's two parts to that. One is because he's not going down the rum line. These guys are sailing against the rum line, so he probably travelled further on the water, but not so much towards the finish line. Jasmine doing 3.4 and did 37-mile day, so took out about 9 miles from Josh. So she's still right up there in the hunt. Where do I go from here? Middle of the pack. We'll go over to Eric. Eric's doing 1.5 knots, 45-mile day. And Ayrton's doing 2.9 knots, 57-mile day. All very fluky up here now. Kerry, back on track today. You can see he came down and all of a sudden he's heading down south, very close to south. And I think, he's going to short-circuit the overall master plan. But fortunately, he's had a toss in the breeze, not fast. And he's just having to do what probably Renaud was doing previously. You've just got to keep the boat moving. And so it's the wind. When it's really light, you need to increase the apparent wind, get it by the beam or forward of the beam. And the wind is dictating where he's going at the moment. That's pretty much the same for all of these boats up here. So doing 1.2 knots and only 45-mile day. But they are sort of heading in the direction of the rum line. That's why Christian is sort of in the lead. Christian's the number one boat yet. So 2.2 knots and a 42 nautical mile day. So still drifting along in this light stuff, this patchy stuff. You can see here, not much breeze. Anyway, but he's now technically the leader. Really doesn't mean a lot at the moment until you get around and start pointing to the finish line under the Galapagos. So Jacob doing okay, 3.1 knots, 48-mile day. And Dan Turk doing 3.1 knots, 46-mile day, all hooked up in the same stuff. Adam is doing 2.5 knots, 52-mile day, very opportunistic sailing. Some would probably be working harder than others, but I think they're all they know how to keep the boat going in light weather. They're all super heavy. It was interesting. I think it was Eric sent me a message and said he caught 35 litres of water in one of the thunderstorms, and that happens. I remember in one thunderstorm we had when I was on the Bounty boat, which is a little 25-foot open rowboat, basically crossing the Pacific. We had a thunderstorm one time. We caught 200 litres of water in an hour or so. We had no more containers to catch it, so that's good because when they catch up, they might not necessarily leave it sitting on the boat, but they can have a shower and they can do whatever. So 35 litres of water is okay. Gives them a lot more range and all the rest of it. So Adam's doing all right. Coconut's chuffing along, doing 3.4 knots. Same problem. He's a heavy displacement boat. Peeler and Daniel are trading places. Very much so. They're having a go at the moment. I don't know whether they can. Let's just have a close look find out how far apart they are. They probably are just seeing each other occasionally because Peeler was over the top of Daniel previously, ahead of him, and now Dan's moved in the lead. So Peeler's doing 1.8 knots, 22-mile day. Holy dooly. And Dan is doing 2 knots, 28-mile day. So that's why he's peaked a bit in front. And let's go bow to bow. I'll stick that one there. Hang on, I'll bring it across so it's as if it's turning 1 point. So he's 2 miles behind. So they will absolutely be looking at each other. They'll see each other on the horizon. So that's pretty interesting. They'll be enjoying that, especially when it's changing. It's very frustrating for them, but that's how it works. And then over here, we've got Renaud doing 2.7 knots and 22-mile days. So both Peeler and Dan have caught ground. You can see that pretty clearly. You can do the video replay, but I won't. I showed you how to do that yesterday. But you can see, even going in that direction, they're pretty much on a par with each other. So these three are having a go. That's kind of cool. Now, let's get into the tactical issues which are going on, which is very interesting. I didn't talk about it yesterday, but let's have a look at it today. I'm gonna first of all I'll go through the issue of the weather before I show you the currents, which is a wild card. And to do that, I need to go. Let's just hold it there for the moment. You can see the Galapagos here. The idea is they've got to get south to the trades. Okay, just excuse me for a minute. They have to get south to the trades, and that's where Renaud is going, but he's also caught on that side of the breeze, so he's got no option to try and cut the corner here. The same with Peeler and Dan. They really are committed to get down. And at the moment, they're showing as if they've got a reasonable breeze. They've reached the breeze here. It's as I was discussing last night. When this comes in, Renaud will cross over to Port Tac. So Renaud's on Port Tac, and I would think that also, when I'm talking close here, I need to show you here, but we'll scale back to look at the tactical stuff in a minute. So if this breeze is correct, you can see Renaud is on Port Tac, and I would suggest that both Peeler and Dan are doing the same thing. They wouldn't be on starboard tack. There is a clear hole here, and I'll preempt all this by saying this is really challenging to make this useful information when there's such light winds of 5 to 10 knots, and there's so little data reporting into the computer program or computer model that makes up the suggestion of this graphic. It's really easy for it to be inaccurate. Okay, so just remember that. It may not be quite right, but it's the best we've got to work to. So that's what we're talking to, but it may not be too accurate. But it's a reasonable guide. Okay, that's too small. Okay, so you can see Galapagos here. They've got a breeze band there, and the boys up the top haven't got so much. They've entered this zone of not much wind, but they're committed. There's no point in trying to cut across that when it's suggesting a bit of breeze up here, and it's enough breeze. There's a bit of an indication it's going to go around this way, so they're on Port Tac. I'm sure about that. That's why Kerry's tacked across. I'll go one smaller now. Okay, so hit this, and we're coming across now. So we're now into tomorrow midday, and you see it's still holding there. There's a bit of a light blue underneath, but it's disappearing tomorrow. So they're still not quite there. Okay, and the trades, this is when it's scheduled to move down a little bit. This is the equator. So Renaud's nearly on the equator, and that group is trying to get down here. If they can get into that and peel off to the left, to the right, like turn right and start heading west, they're doing okay. So this is the second now, and you can see it's still pretty light here. They've got a bit of distance to get through because this is starting to pull down. So there goes the third, and then it's still holding. Right. So by the fourth, this is the end of the third. The fourth, it's still a fair way down, and there's a hole there. Now we're going to go over this again in a minute because I'm going to scale up, and we're going to look at what the top group. Again, I explained this yesterday. We'll look at what Kerry and Christian have got and see whether they can actually maintain sailing, right, and how it's comparing to this group that's heading south, right? These guys are heading over in this direction for sure, and Renaud and the others are heading down south and sailing away from the mark because the mark is over here in the west. So you're obviously, if you're sailing at 45 degrees like this, you're closer to the west. And these guys coming down here, wait for the breeze, and then slowly start to cut corner. It's not quite as advantageous, but it's still okay. So now we're watching this here. So I'm going to up it a bit because you can see what's happening to Renaud. Now, these guys have got breeze. The Kerry's right on the edge of it, not so much there. And you see the Cairn spots now going over the top of them. So this is on the first. This is by midday tomorrow. But by midday tomorrow, you can see the breeze comes back. So they're going to have a very slow night. And if this is correct, at that point, the breeze is back. You can just detect this 5 to 10 knot breeze. It's there, right? So they'll lose a little bit of ground. Like now, Kerry's doing 1.2 knots, whereas Renaud is doing 2.7, and Peeler's doing 2 knots, so you could say maybe double the speed. There's only like a knot in it. So that's by tomorrow lunchtime, if it's correct. And if we keep going, you can see there's still little dots here of breeze, so they still could keep sailing. And it's got quiet for Renaud, so these guys will slow down, and they'll probably both be doing about 2 knots on their relevant courses. Okay, so just remember that. So that's by the end of day tomorrow. Then we get into the second. Now you can see there, okay, these guys have got breeze, and they'll harden up a little bit, and they should be able to keep going on port tack and keep coming down with the general plan of angling across, something like this. All right, and Renaud and the boys, that absolutely they'll have this breeze and they'll be going a bit faster, but they've got to at some point decide, when am I going to go south to get down deep and chase the trades, or are we going to keep cutting across at 45 degrees, or cutting across and split the difference? And this is where I probably shouldn't be talking now, because but they should be seeing this because you'll see in a minute what the other issue is, whether they should cut the corner or head south. And so on the second, there's breeze all the way through. These guys have got breeze, they'll come down. Renaud and the team have got breeze, they'll come down. That's on the second. They'll be starting to move. And you can see up the top here, they've got breeze. They can absolutely do the port tack and head down here and chase it. And Renaud and the boys and girls, they'll be doing pretty much the same. So there's no different in advantage. They should all be moving on the third. And then you've got the fourth. Now, coming into the fourth, and where will they be on the fourth? Let's just estimate that. So this is, well, actually, I'll go back to the third. I'm going to take it back to about now on the third. Right? That's the third. So 1, 2, 3, 3 days. Let's say they make 50 miles a day. It's only 150 miles. So Carey and the team is only going to be about 150 miles. So at that point in this weather, they're going to be about there if they maintain that general direction. There's 150 miles. Now I reckon Renaud, if I pick a spot down here, Renaud's, in fact, I'll do a joint spot to show you the difference. Okay, 150 miles to there. Renaud, if they won't get to that position. Hang on, in 4 days, I'll tell you what they're going to. It's 3 days. In 3 days, they're going to come down here. They'll be making about 50, 60 miles a day. So they're going to do about 106, 3, 18, 180 miles. Is that right? Yeah, about 180 miles. And it's probably going to go something like this. There's 130, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. If they turn the corner, it's another 40 miles. They're going to be about there. So Renaud could be about there if they decide to turn the corner. And Carey and the team are going to be over here. And you can see they're still closer towards the west. I hope it's not boring you, but there's a dramatic event about to happen when I show you what's going on with the currents. So just remember that, down here and across there, or keep cutting the corner. Cutting the corner is a shorter distance. And down here, they're going to have to change course to eventually start coming around to the west. And then, look at this. We go to currents, right? Bingo. Now, this is what I'm saying about it's changing. This is the currents for 3 days' time. If I come back to here to real time now, and you should have seen this yesterday, but you can see how it changes over 3 days. It's changing. The whole current system is changing. It's moving around this center core, and the center of the core is moving. So yesterday, this was massive. And the problem with coming down here and then deciding to turn and cut your course across to the west, this is a two and a half knot current right in your face. So if they were sailing at 2 knots and came down here and turned left, they're going to go nowhere. They're losing 2.5 knots. Whereas if Carey and them were coming down here, they've got the current pushing them along, right, all the way to the corner. They miss the head currents. When they come down here, they've completely missed it, right? And if you got a day or day and a half in 2.5 knots, that's like 75 miles that you're going to get hooked up in. But as I say, I can't show you what this was doing yesterday. It was just massive. And I thought, oh, boy, if these guys head south to the wind, at some point they're going to have to turn the corner, right? And if they did it in that, they're going to lose out big time. Whereas these guys are going to get the following current all the way down, miss the corner, come down here, and then eventually hook around. And when they do, they'll be onto the current. There's no real currents here, but if Renaud and the team do well, they'll make the trades and so on and kick it. But then as they get down here, the trades are moving away. So this current could interplay really strongly. But now watch this. You can see how it changes. So just remember it's going to be there. I'm just going to move this along. You'll see it's all pulling back. See, it's shrinking from the west, dropping down a bit, and not getting as dramatic. So here we go on the second, and then on the third, which is where we were. That's where we were after 3 days. And 3 days ahead, remember, they will actually, 3 days ahead, they'll be down here. They're still going to get this current pushing against them as they're coming down, but it's not as bad because this center core of whatever is changing. It's moving, and it's changed the edge of the current. But either way, the guys up here are going to get the positive aspects of the current, and these ones are going down. That's a long explanation. It's probably terribly boring, but you can see how it works, and so many considerations. So now any of the entrants that see that will think, oh, geez, what do we do now? It's actually too late to change the game because they're sailing to the wind. They really are committed to the breeze, right? They can't make their own, make some strategic plan where they want to go. They have to actually just sail with the breeze they've got. There's not a lot there, but you can see what's going on. So just to confirm, I'm going to go big picture, one last look at the tracker, and then we're done. So we're on wind at the moment, so I'll get rid of that, and we'll watch this situation with coming down this way to meet this stronger breeze, because by the time you get down here, it's 15 knots, and you're going to hoot. But where's it going over the next 3 days? We've used the third as the. So watch this. You can see it's still light and fluffy underneath Renaud and the team. And there's the 1st of April. That's tomorrow. That's 36 hours away. And so there's a big hole there. In 36 hours, they're still going to be in this light stuff. Right? They may have progressed a little bit, but nothing. No one's going anywhere for the next 36 hours with any consequence, even Kerry and the team up that side. And then they might just get a bit of boost. So as they're getting a bit of boost here, Kerry's got boost as well. So they might be able to cut across. Hang on, I'm leaving that. Hit that and keep going. That's on the 2nd. And then on the 3rd, by the time they want to be down there, it's starting to disappear. This is where it starts to move south. And if they're coming across this way, you can see these guys, Renaud and the team, might get hooked up in this if this is accurate. Whereas these guys have got a wind band going very close in underneath Galapagos, so it may pay dividends. This is on the 4th, actually. And then here we go. On the 5th, it's come down to about 5 degrees, which is where it's due to sit. So they're all struggling to get down this part here. And once they get there, then it's going to be very boring tracker updates because there's nothing happening. They just come in down here, get into the trades, and start blasting to the west. And there's Marquises right there. Doesn't seem too far away when you look at that, because they're doing pretty well at the moment. So that's kind of cool. Okay, no, I'm not interested in looking at the leaderboard at the moment because it's not really doing anything of any consequence. So we'll leave that there. I'll come back and say good day. We'll do the questions, and then we're done. Oh, we got these bloody thingos here. Okay. Here we go. Warren, free information live on you. Oh, good. Thanks, Warren. Yep, good to see. Lead-in is good, easy to follow as well as slow you down if you talk too fast for some. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. When my mind is racing on something, I bloody go crazy. Sorry. Hi, Don. Best rolled over on Sunday morning. Did roll over. Love you. They all hit like. Yeah, thanks, Graham. Yeah, hit the like, subscribe, get the bell and subscription. Actually, they have a bell, and I don't ever use it. But when you subscribe, you can hit the bell, and then every time we come up with a live, some bell or buzzer goes off on your screen just to let you know, and you can log in pretty quick. Brian, Renaud is our Shackleton of the mini globe race, trying to escape the currents and lack of winds. Will he make it to the trades early? He's looking good. He knows how to sail. So I think he knows. But boy, I wish I had taken a screenshot of the currents yesterday, because it was really obvious that when Renaud and the team there got down, they're in big trouble if they want to go to the west. It was a massive 2.5, 3 knot head current, and it was big, but it's shrinking and moving, which is quite interesting to see. They get a lot of that data from the satellite data from sea surface temperatures. They do have some buoys drifting around, but mainly they work on I'm not an oceanographer, But back in the day, 20 years ago, it was a big deal when you could get. We had satellite information coming onto the boats that we used, which would give you sea surface temperature, and you assumed that was going to show the currents, um, which it did pretty regularly. And as I say, these ocean currents are moving around flexible. It's not like a stream. Oh, what I didn't show you, what I want to show you, I'm going to go back to it right now, is the Agulhas current, and you'll see exactly what I mean, because it's mind-boggling. The Agulhas current, hang on, let me see if I can put that back on. Nope, that's not the right button. Hey, get me. I'm back on here. So why is it doing that? Now, if I go to that one, there we go. Right, you're back on the tracker. So I'm going to go to the tracker, and this won't take long. This will be really quick, but you'll be really surprised if you've never seen this or never heard about it. The Agulhas current is, look at this. Ooh, this is fun in the Southern Ocean. That's where you're giving your weather reports are quite fun. Okay, here's South Africa over here. Here's Madagascar, and here's Port Louis over here in Mauritius. So they're going to leave there, and we give them 10 or 15 days, 16 days or something for the next stops. And they'll come around over here to Durban, and they've got to get around and underneath. And you can see, well, okay, it looks kind of interesting, but watch what happens when you go to the currents. Bingo, there it is. So this is the Agulhas current, and this current, combined with the strong westerly winds and storms which come around here, sink massive ships. They get caught in like 25-meter steep vertical wall waves, and racking and bending and flexing. The hull can break the hulls in half, and ships just sink. Right, it happens. I won't say regularly, but there's some classic cases. So this current stream here is like the Gulf Stream. It's doing anything like 3-4 knots, screaming down, and it very rarely changes. Right, and it goes around in all these eddies and then goes down the Southern Ocean. And you can check this out yourself from time to time, and you'll see there's this massive current. So there's Durban. You get around to Port Elizabeth. Cape Town's the objective, and sailing down around the bottom here, it looks simple. You just get out in the current stream and you just rock it down with a 3 or 2.5, 3.5 knot current, and you've got a free ride. But the predominant wind, is usually coming from the west or the southwest and things like that. And you only get when the highs and lows come across, you only get a weather window of 2 to 3 days. So you've got to sit in Durban and wait for the local forecast, and then just go for it. And as soon as you see it starting to come on the nose, you've got to stick into a port, and there's not many ports here. So this is the most challenging deal. This is the deep Southern Ocean. This is the roaring 40s down here. So it's a big challenge, but that's a current stream that stays as a river, and it doesn't really move. And even this angle here going across the Southern Ocean, it doesn't move much. Off, come here, solar one, boom. Okay, that works. Bloody tracker. Ayrton's there spying already. I can see him there. Okay. Renaud is our shackleton. Yeah, Ayrton, greetings from Trekker. Hello, Ayrton. Going as there is so little wind, hard going. Yeah, it is. So anyway, at least you know to carry on regardless. Just keep following Kerry. I think he knows what's going on. Okay, Jonathan, cheers from the Chesapeake. Yep, cool. Thanks, Anita Dicko. Good. Good. You can keep sending videos for us. Okay. Yep, that's cool. Jane's collecting videos and doing posts, and got a bit of an update from Frank yesterday. It was a bit average, but there you go. It was kind of cool, good fun. So that's good. Let's hope Gary can catch the fleet. He's doing okay. He's into the boat. We put Gary's interview up today. I hope you've seen that. It's down there, the next post down on Facebook. And a lot of people seem to like those ones. They were profile interviews, so one-on-one, just talking about each of the entrants and their background, where they go to sailing, and more than just about the MGR. And they're all set up in the library. You can watch all of them in sequence or whenever you want. And I'll get Rob to change them over into the skipper profile as well. So each of the skipper profiles, you'll be able to hit that, and you'll see their interview alongside their general information about their boat. Let's hope Gary can catch up. Yep, that's it. I think that's it. So until I saw the current, I was saying head due south. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, there's nothing wrong. You can head due south and still go through the current, and you're just going to get pushed back a little bit, so it'll be a bit further to go, because it is vital to get to those trade winds, and that's part of it. That's really part of it. So there's no easy answer, and who knows? They all might just be potluck. Where we go? Oh, let's go that way today. But it's fun from this perspective watching. Okay, Warren, my Starlink is dropping out every 5 minutes. Is anybody else getting that? The Starlink can be very variable. We're on Starlink now. I've got the aerial out the window on the ground. So yeah, glad you like the interview. Okay, that's it. So have fun, and we'll probably see you. Oh, I didn't talk about what happened. If you're ever, when I was younger, sailing and all that sort of stuff, I used to wear no clothes a lot of the time for months and months and years even. We were a bunch of grotty yachties cruising with Sundays in the Pacific. That's what you did, and surfing and out in the weather. And Australia's got really intense UV. I hardly ever use normal sun cream and stuff, and I always wear a hat. But I just got my head zapped again, big time, with lasers and everything in hospital and all that sort of thing. Because I had so many. I've had lots of BCCs chopped out of the skin and lots of BSCs chopped out of my head. Once that starts, they develop. And so, yeah, just watch the sun. I always just bring that up just to say, keep out of the sun, always wear a hat, and be very careful so it all catches up later on. But I'm fine. I'm really cool. Everything's good now and all that sort of stuff. That was all just preventative. Okay, have fun, and I'll press this button, and hopefully we'll get out of here in style, looking really professional and slick. See you later.
In the making. The McIntyre Mini Globe Race 2025. Small boat, huge adventure.